The radar picture at 11:47 p.m. near Mischief Reef looked like a city, not a fleet, not a formation, a city. 83 surface contacts distributed across a 6 nautical mile radius around the U.S. patrol vessel's position, each one small, each one moving at low speed, each one broadcasting an AIS signal identifying it as a fishing vessel registered in a Chinese coastal province. The contacts were dense in the southern and eastern quadrants and slightly less dense to the north, where the reef's submerged structure created navigational complications. 83 contacts, all fishing vessels, all present at 11:47 p.m. in the South China Sea, 140 nautical miles from the nearest commercial fishing ground, worth working at midnight. The CIC watch officer had been building the contact picture since 9:15 p.m., when the first elements of the formation began appearing on radar from the northwest. They had arrived gradually, not in the coordinated simultaneous emergence that characterized fast boat formations, not with the deliberate authority of a warship altering course. They had drifted in, contact by contact, over 2.5 hours, filling the radar picture the way fog filled a valley. By 11:47 p.m., the patrol vessel was surrounded. The surrounding was not a military maneuver. Nothing about it was military. Every vessel was a fishing boat. Every AIS signal was correctly formatted. Every contact moved at between 2 and 6 knots. If asked to explain 83 fishing vessels near Mischief Reef on this particular evening, Beijing's answer was ready. South China Sea fishermen worked these waters. China's fishing fleet was the largest in the world. The answer omitted 2 things. First, that the AIS tracks, when reviewed against historical fishing patterns, showed 0 overlap with established catch zones. These vessels were not fishing. They were positioned. Second, that the spacing between individual contacts, approximately 200 to 400 yards between each vessel, was geometrically consistent with a deliberate surrounding formation and not with any natural aggregation pattern that fishing fleets produced. At 11:49 p.m., the captain stepped onto the bridge. He looked at the radar display for 25 seconds. 83 contacts. He turned to the tactical officer. When did they finish forming up? Best estimate 2,310, sir. The last significant grouping closed from the northwest between 2,255 and 2,310, 20 minutes ago. The formation had been complete for 20 minutes and had not done anything except exist. It was present. It was surrounding. It was applying pressure through presence alone, or it was waiting for something, or both simultaneously, which was precisely what maritime militia formations at Mischief Reef had been designed to do. I have the con. The patrol vessel, approximately 1,350 tons, was smaller than the ships that normally responded to standoffs in the South China Sea. Its size placed it in a category the formation's architects had specifically calculated, small enough that the 83 surrounding vessels were individually comparable in displacement to sections of the U.S. hull, large enough that no single contact could threaten it. But 83 in close proximity created genuine navigational complexity at night with inconsistent lighting across the formation. The formation was not trying to stop the patrol vessel from moving. Movement required choosing a direction, and every direction led through 83 vessels in the dark. But staying also produced a result. Moving produced footage of a U.S. vessel maneuvering through dense civilian traffic. Staying produced footage of a U.S. vessel encircled by a Chinese maritime presence. 3 camera crews had been identified by FLIR in the formation on 3 different contacts, each with professional video equipment. The framing was prepared for both outcomes. At midnight, Channel 16 opened. Mandarin only. No English. The CIC communications officer initiated real-time translation, a 30-second processing delay, and provided the summary at 12:01 a.m. Broadcast from Sierra 41, bearing 155, range 600 yards. Standard sovereignty language. Claims formation is a fishing cooperative in Chinese territorial waters. Demands U.S. vessel depart. No specific threat language. The captain did not respond on Channel 16. At 12:02 a.m., the first friction event arrived in the electronic systems. The electronic warfare operator reported, "Bridge CIC. Coordinated radio frequency interference, source triangulating to 3 contacts within the formation, Sierra 41, Sierra 67, and Sierra 72. Targeted at our UHF short-range communications band. Not affecting encrypted satellite or primary radar. Affecting ability to communicate on standard maritime UHF with any vessel in the formation or any maritime authority in UHF range. Targeted interference. Not broad spectrum, the kind of narrow-band deniable interference that denied voice communications while leaving radar and satellite intact. A vessel surrounded by 83 contacts, unable to communicate by voice with surrounding contacts or shore authorities on standard frequencies in the South China Sea at midnight. The captain acknowledged the EW report. He did not attempt voice communication on the affected frequencies. He opened the satellite channel to 7th Fleet Pacific Operations Center and transmitted the full contact picture, 83 contacts, formation geometry, AIS data, FLIR thermal analysis, and the EW interference report in a single encrypted data package. 7th Fleet had the picture within 90 seconds. CPA to nearest contact, holding at approximately 300 yards, all sectors. The South China Sea at midnight near Mischief Reef had its own atmospheric quality, humid, flat calm, the kind of surface that reflected navigation lights back on themselves, so that each surrounding vessel appeared to have a twin below it in the water. Through the bridge windows in every direction, white masthead lights and colored running lights dotted the darkness at irregular intervals, the specific visual texture of being surrounded by vessels whose navigation was indifferent to the patrol vessel's presence. The smell of diesel exhaust from 83 engines running at low load drifted across the water from multiple directions simultaneously, a diffuse chemical layer that the bridge crew breathed without registering it consciously. The captain had been at the center console since taking the con. He had not spoken in the past 4 minutes. The tactical officer had been updating the contact log, the CIC had been building the AIS correlation analysis, and the 7th Fleet data package had been transmitting. The captain had been doing none of those things. He had been doing what 28 years of sea time had trained him to do in the first minutes after a complex situation resolved its shape, reading it. Not reading the individual data points, the 83 contacts, the formation geometry, the EW interference, but reading the operation. Who designed it? What they needed the patrol vessel to do. What they would do if the patrol vessel did that thing. What they would do if it didn't. He had a picture. He did not share it yet. He was looking for the variable they had miscalculated. At 12:04 a.m., 2 contacts that had been stationary on the northern perimeter began moving. Not toward each other, toward the patrol vessel. They converged to approximately 50-yard separation and then matched speed, proceeding south in parallel at 4 knots, closing on the patrol vessel's northern aspect. Behind them, 2 additional contacts began filling the gap to maintain the formation's density, the northern compression. Coordinated movement. 2 fishing boats do not spontaneously pair up and advance toward a U.S. naval vessel at midnight through a rehearsed formation fill maneuver. This was a drill being executed by people who had done it before. Sierra 12 and Sierra 19 are advancing from the north. Current range 1,100 yards, speed 4 knots. Estimated CPA if current track holds 200 yards. Time approximately 22 minutes. 200 yards from the north, while 81 other contacts held their surrounding positions. The captain looked at the night vision camera feed. Navigation light configurations at 1,100 yards. White masthead, green running light visible. Bow pointed toward the patrol vessel. Small vessels, 30 to 50 ton displacement each. Moving steadily. Correctly lit. Fishing boats advancing through the night. CPA to advancing contacts, 200 yards estimated, 22 minutes. The helmsman was 23 years old. He had been at the wheel since 2000, 3 hours and 47 minutes of a watch that had begun as routine and had become something else at 11:47 p.m. when the captain stepped onto the bridge and took the con. The standing order was to hold position, not a course, not a speed, not a transit heading, but a GPS coordinate maintained within a defined radius, the position hold system providing input to the steering while the helmsman provided oversight and override capability. Position hold was not passive. In a current, in a swell, with 83 contacts at 200 to 400 yards in every direction, position hold meant continuous active monitoring of a system that was doing most of the work but not all of it. He was watching the northern sector. He was watching Sierra 12 and Sierra 19, whose navigation lights were the lights he could not look away from among the 83. Two paired lights advancing through the darkness at 4 knots. 1,100 yards. His standing order was to maintain position. His standing order did not say anything about what to do if 2 contacts closed to 200 yards and did not stop. His standing order said, maintain position. His hands were at 10 and 2. At 12:07 a.m., the captain authorized the LRAD. The long-range acoustic device, mounted on the forward superstructure, was oriented toward Sierra 12 and Sierra 19. At low-power directed mode, the LRAD produced a sound level at the target's position that was uncomfortable and attention-demanding, not crowd control output, but the specific directed level used in maritime warning operations. Loud enough to be heard clearly over engine noise and wave sound, directional enough that the effect was localized. The broadcast was in Mandarin. Vessels approaching from the north, bearing 235 and 240 from us. You are approaching a United States naval vessel operating in international waters. Maintain your current distance. Do not close further. This is a formal warning. Directed. At 1,100 yards in a night environment, it arrived at the targeted vessels with a clarity that made it unambiguous. Coming from the U.S. vessel, addressed specifically to their approach, evidence that the U.S. vessel was tracking their movement precisely enough to address them by bearing. Sierra 12 held its speed for approximately 45 seconds. Then it reduced from 4 knots to approximately 1.5 knots. Sierra 19 matched the reduction 30 seconds later. Still advancing, but the rate had dropped significantly. CPA to advancing contacts, revised upward. Now projecting 280 yards, time 31 minutes at reduced speed. The LRAD maintained its directed operation as the tactical officer continuously updated the bearing on the 2 advancing contacts. The formation's other elements had not moved. The 2 northern contacts were the only active movement in the picture. At 12:09 a.m., the second friction event arrived. A message on the satellite channel from 7th Fleet. A Philippine Coast Guard vessel was operating approximately 40 nautical miles to the southeast and had been alerted to the formation situation. The Philippine vessel was not approaching. It lacked the speed for an operationally useful arrival timeline, but its operations center was monitoring. The Philippines' context mattered. The waters near Mischief Reef were claimed by the Philippines under UNCLOS, and the Permanent Court of Arbitration had ruled in 2016 that China's claims in this area had no legal basis in international law. The Chinese maritime militia formation operating here was not in Chinese territory by any standard the international community recognized except China itself. A Philippine Coast Guard vessel monitoring the encounter, even at 40 nautical miles, added a dimension to the record the formation's architects had not created. The captain noted the message and transmitted a brief acknowledgement. At 12:11 a.m., the LRAD broadcast a second transmission to Sierra 12 and Sierra 19, both of which had reduced speed further and were holding at approximately 850 yards. Vessel Sierra bearing 235 and 240. Your current track and all vessel movements in this formation are being recorded and transmitted to Pacific Fleet Command in real time. The formation geometry, navigation data, electronic interference emissions, and camera crew positions are documented. This documentation is currently being provided to Philippine maritime authorities and will be included in formal reporting. Maintain your current distance. The reference to Philippine maritime authorities was accurate. The encounter record was being shared with 7th Fleet, which was coordinating with regional allies. Putting it on the record, in Mandarin, on the LRAD channel, told the formation's architects that the deniability they had designed into the operation was being documented and shared in real time, in the language of the crew members who were making the decisions about whether to continue the advance. At 12:14 a.m., the tactical officer flagged a data correlation. 12 vessels in the formation carried AIS registration numbers that appeared in a Chinese maritime database as belonging to a fishing cooperative out of Hainan province, the same cooperative that prior intelligence reporting had associated with maritime militia vessel assets in the Spratly Islands. Not definitive, registration databases could be falsified, cooperative memberships overlapped, but 12 registrations from a known militia-associated cooperative in an 83-vessel surrounding formation at midnight near Mischief Reef was a data point now in the record. The 12 contacts were flagged on the CIC display. The registration correlation was added to the real-time data package going to 7th Fleet. CPA to advancing contacts, holding at approximately 800 yards, no further advance. At 12:17 a.m., the formation began to change, not dramatically, gradually, the way it had assembled. The first change was in the eastern quadrant. 3 contacts that had been stationary for 90 minutes began drifting northeast, away from the patrol vessel's position. Slow, less than 2 knots, attributable to current or inattention. But all 3 drifted the same direction, and the drift began within 8 minutes of the second LRAD broadcast. 3 eastern contacts showing bearing drift, range increasing. Contact designations Sierra 53, Sierra 61, Sierra 66, then 2 western contacts. Same pattern, CPA to nearest contact, now 340 yards in the eastern quadrant where the 3 contacts were opening. At 12:23 a.m., Sierra 41, the vessel that had broadcast on Channel 16 at midnight, activated its engine at high power and began moving west at 8 knots. The formation's designated communications platform was departing. That was the tell. The captain watched the formation's slow dissolution without speaking. The bridge crew did not relax. The formation still surrounded the patrol vessel on remaining quadrants, but it was no longer the construction that had been in place at 11:47 p.m. It was becoming a collection of individual fishing boats drifting in various directions, what 83 fishing boats looked like when they were not under active formation coordination. The LRAD was secured at 12:26 a.m. when the tactical officer confirmed that Sierra 12 and Sierra 19 had reversed course and were opening at 3 knots. By 12:35 a.m., 22 vessels had opened to beyond 5 nautical miles. By 12:45 a.m., 47 contacts remained within 3 nautical miles. By 1 a.m., the patrol vessel was in a normal shipping density environment. All 3 camera crew vessels had opened beyond 7 nautical miles. No one on the bridge spoke for a long moment after the contact count dropped below 30. In the CIC, the electronic warfare operator completed the interference source triangulation log and entered the final note. UHF interference ceased 12:31 a.m., consistent with departure of Sierra 41 and 2 correlated interference platforms from the formation. Interference duration, 29 minutes. 29 minutes of targeted UHF interference in the South China Sea at midnight, aimed at a U.S. naval vessel's voice communications. The log entry would appear in the intelligence product. The intelligence product would appear in the annual threat assessment. The annual threat assessment would appear on the desks of decision-makers who had not been present at midnight near Mischief Reef and needed to understand what maritime militia formations were capable of in terms of integrated electronic interference operations. The 29 minutes mattered beyond the encounter. They mattered because they were documented. The helmsman had held the patrol vessel's position through 97 minutes of surrounding formation, 2 advancing contacts from the north, targeted radio frequency interference, and an LRAD operating at multiple bearings. Holding position rather than holding a transit course required a different discipline, not the discipline of maintaining a heading against a closing contact, but the discipline of remaining stationary in a surrounded environment when every open water instinct argued for movement. The orders had been to hold position and manage the formation through documentation and directed acoustic advisories. He had held position. His hands were at 10 and 2. The patrol vessel's position had moved less than 12 meters from its charted waypoint through 97 minutes. The officer of the deck adjusted his collar. It had not needed adjusting. The captain walked to the chart table. Position confirmed, within 12 meters of the charted waypoint. He looked at the dwindling contact picture on the display. Secure LRAD. Check UHF interference status. A pause, while the communications officer confirmed the interference had ceased at 12:31 a.m. Full encounter report to 7th Fleet, FLIR analysis, EW interference source triangulation, AIS registration correlation for the 12 militia-associated vessels, LRAD broadcast transcripts. Philippine Maritime Authority notification, standard format, full contact picture, request cross-reference with their encounter log. He looked at the display once more. 31 contacts remaining. Resume patrol pattern Alpha 6. Speed 8 knots. Good watch. The record assembled here speaks in the language the ocean keeps. 83 surface contacts, fishing vessels registered in Chinese coastal provinces, consistent with Chinese maritime militia operational profile, established a coordinated surrounding formation around a U.S. patrol vessel in international waters near Mischief Reef at 11:47 p.m. 3 vessels carried professional camera crews. 3 vessels carried electronic systems producing targeted radio frequency interference on UHF maritime communications bands. Formation. Geometry. 200 to 400 yard spacing, consistent with deliberate positioning. 12 vessel registration numbers correlated with known maritime militia cooperative database. Duration of formation. Surrounding approximately 97 minutes. EW, interference of UHF communications, active from 12:02 a.m. ceased 12:31 a.m. Channel 16 broadcast from formation, 1 in Mandarin. U.S. patrol vessel response on Channel 16, 0. LRA deactivations, 2, directed low power mode. Language, Mandarin. Content, navigation warning and documentation notification. Advancing contacts from northern sector, 2. Maximum advance to 800 yards, then halted. Both reversed following second LRAD broadcast. Contact count at maximum formation density, 83. Contact count at conclusion, 37 within 5 nautical miles, none in formation geometry. Formation dissolved over 47 minutes. Philippine Coast Guard notified, yes. Real-time data shared with Philippine Maritime authorities, yes. U.S. patrol vessel position change during 97-minute surrounding, less than 12 meters. Weapons authorized, no. Weapons released, no. The South China Sea measures its disputes in nautical miles and fishing registrations logged at midnight by a radar that never stopped sweeping. 83 contacts arrived over 2.5 hours and surrounded a U.S. patrol vessel and documented everything they could document. The patrol vessel documented them first and documented them more completely and shared the documentation with 2 naval commands and a regional ally before the formation had decided what to do next. The footage from the camera crews exists. So does the rest of the record.